to Prime Cut, Default Prime's weekly video game news roundup. I'm your host, as usual, Steven Snakehugan Lindsay, and on this week's broadcast, we're going to talk about how Assassin's Creed III is going to be coming out this year. We're also going to talk about how there's a good possibility that LA Noire will have a sequel sometime in the future. Also, we'll talk about some story details involving The Last of Us, and lastly, we'll talk about some DLC content that's coming for Final Fantasy XIII-2.
What? Another Assassin's Creed game already? Didn't the last one come out like only 3 months ago? On November 15th? That's what Wikipedia says, and Wiki knows everything. Coming out on October 30th will be the next installment in the series that is actually technically the 5th in the main console versions of the series if you're actually counting, and probably even more than that if you count the handhelds. Currently there isn't any official info on what will be in this game, the story, or anything involving it, which we can hope there be some type of hint or details coming soon enough, because it's only 8 months away till the next game is released. My bet is on it probably involves stabbing somebody in the face at some time or another. But I guess to be fair to the game, as the game involves events in 2012 and how we're all going to die, it would lose that wonder factor of the future if it came out in 2013, because we all know that we're still alive if it's 2013 and it's supposed to happen in 2012. But at the same time, it seems they could have chose some time a little bit further down the road. Assassins isn't the only game series by Ubisoft that is revealing when its next game will be coming out. We also have Far Cry 3. With that announcement of release date, we also get a look at the new trailer for said game, and yeah, it's one of those pre-rendered CGI, hey look, it's all fancy looking and won't be actual gameplay trailer. We get to see that Brody, yes his name is Jason Brody, arriving with friends at an island that isn't even on a map. Arriving at any of those type of islands never goes well. After acting like some douches, randomly picking up someone's AK and posing with it, oh, and then they get pissed off whenever the guy tells them off for taking his gun. We then find out that they get kidnapped and Brody must save them. Well, at least his girl, as the guy gets shot. And that's how Brody's adventure starts. Or, shall one say, Brody's quest. Yeah, I'm so 2 years behind that joke. Far Cry 3 is coming out on September 4th in America and on the 7th in Europe. Excluding some DLC that may or may not be in the future version of this game, the final additions to the roster for Street Fighter Cross Tekken has been revealed. The two coming from Street Fighter are the two classic villains, M. Bison, or Vega as he's known in Japan and in these videos, and also Akuma. From Tekken's side, we got Jin and Ogre. Now that we have the final roster, excluding the possibility of DLC that I mentioned earlier, I can imagine several people out there being upset how one of their favorites isn't showing up in the game. But not me, because I'm not really into fighting games at all. If you're a cool and fancy indie hipster like me, you've probably heard about Skullgirls. Okay, even if you've never really been into the indie stuff, there's a good possibility you've heard about Skullgirls. Now, for those that haven't heard, the game is a 2D fighter featuring an entire female cast, and everything is also hand-drawn, meaning the game is looking all so beautiful. The latest addition is the sexy ninja nurse Valentine, who comes fully equipped with moves based off of medical equipment. From her movesets and speed, she and Miss Fortune will likely be my two choices for characters in the game so far. And if you're interested, you'll also be happy to know that you can get your hands on the game in late March. I like to consider myself a fan of the Kingdom Hearts series, but considering I haven't played any of the portable games, my allegiances are in question. It's not that I don't like these games, it's just that I'm not a handheld gamer. If I'm at home, I'll just play it on the TV or the coffee, and I'm not out that often to play handheld games. I mean, I have to drive. The latest 10-minute trailer for Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance continues to make me wish the series was on the home console, so I'll be more likely to play and finish the game. And also because I still don't have a 3DS. For the trailer itself, it shows off a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We get some cinematics all in Japanese, then we get some gameplay and action, and then some more cinematics. It also continues to make me ask, is Axel really still alive, or is he just some remnant from the past in the system? Great, now I have to go and play this game and have to figure it out. Or spoil it by looking online, which I've never done. Anyways, for the full 10-minute trailer, we have the link for it below in the description box. Last week there was an announcement that Final Fantasy XIV will be merging 18 world servers down to only 10. Now, one of the problems that can come from the merging of servers is that all the precious levels, virtual items, and currency will be lost due to it being on a different server than what it was originally on. Now, if this isn't obvious, people tend to get really mad when they learn they lose all the precious fake things they spent real-world hours into. Sometimes that even means hundreds of hours. Now, for a few days, there weren't any plans to transfer that stuff over, but that has changed lately from a complete no to now it's a, maybe? And for all of us that know out there, anytime we hear maybe, that typically means no. Rockstar's open-world crime drama L.A. Noire was critically acclaimed, and it should be no surprise to anyone that there's a possibility of an L.A. Noire 2. While it wasn't completely confirmed that one is production, there is no release date or anything similar. They have this to say during a Q&A on their website. Don't count out the possibility of a new game in the L.A. Noire franchise in the future. We simply have not decided anything. We're all very pleased with how the game turned out and are considering what the future may hold for the L.A. Noire as a series. We don't always rush to make sequels, but that does not mean we won't get to them eventually. Indeed, they usually don't rush with sequels unless, you know, it's Grand Theft Auto. In a recent interview with Naughty Dog, we learn a little more about the story in The Last of Us. As we've already assumed from the earlier trailers, the game takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where most inhabitants are affected by some fungal plague. The two main figures are Joel and Ellie. Joel is in his 40s and experienced when everything went fungal, which has led him to have a certain moral code in this new world. Ellie is only 14 and was born into the contamination zone. Joel has taken up a mission in which he must help Ellie get out of this quarantine area, but as revealed in an interview, during their journey in the wastelands, Joel will think about abandoning Ellie to better his own chance of survival at some point. This shall only be assumption, but most likely through the course of the game, they'll learn to respect and understand each other, and Ellie might end up seeing Joel as a kinda father figure. Only time will tell. Or at least intense interrogation sessions. Hurrah! We have another game with an official release date, and this time it's a game I've been patiently waiting for quite a while. Journey by That Game Company, seriously that's the group's actual name, and a great way to confuse people as well, is their latest experimental art game. You control a wanderer who can explore the vast area, finding various long-forgotten locations or other interesting things. It's not just a single-player experience either, as you can get online and find various other people who can then communicate with you. Now, our wanderer can't speak, so you communicate with signals which can involve you or that random stranger showing the other something that they think is neat. Or a not so clever plot to stab you in the back. Yeah, just follow me this way, behind this rock, and I'll show you something. As you may have remembered about 2 weeks ago, we told you that the first bit of DLC coming in for Final Fantasy XIII-2 would feature Lightning and Amador in the Colosseum. The next person who's going to be entering the ring is Jill Nabbit, someone that I'm sure I'll be able to tell you a little more about if I actually played and finished Final Fantasy XIII, which I'm way behind on doing. Only thing I know from looking on Final Fantasy Wiki is that she's an enemy to the cast from the original game. And that's really all I got. That's not all on the DLC front either, as there'll be an additional chapter that will involve Sage, and it's going to be called Heads or Tails. After completing this episode, you'll be able to recruit him onto your team. Hey, at least I know who that guy is. He was the guy with the chocobo and the fro. And that's all I know about him. I'm a horrible gamer. The good old testers over at Blizzard have sat down in front of a camera and released a little old PSA about Diablo 3. That is, that you will die. A lot. Okay, to clarify what they said, they actually say something around the lines that normal mode is kinda chill and casual, not really at all hard, but on those harder difficulties, Ooh, those bad guys will now be tougher, possibly even killing you. Ergo, harder. Not to really make fun of the guys over at Blizzard, but aren't they telling us exactly what we should expect from a harder difficulty? Harder difficulty means more enemies will be tougher, harder to kill, and that jump in difficulty can easily cause us to be killed. I guess what I'm saying is that playing on a harder difficulty meaning the game will be harder is kind of a, well, duh moment. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch has been delayed from early this year till November 17th. I mean, seriously, come on! We've waited so long for this game to release in areas that don't start with J and end with a Pan. For those that haven't been following this game, it's been developed by Level 5 and Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli behind such great movies like Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Puyo, Kiki's Delivery Service, Castle in the Sky, and a ton of others. As for the game, it revolves around Oliver, a boy who has stumbled upon a parallel world to his own that is full of monsters and different versions of inhabitants in his own world, which is what I should really expect from a parallel world. Also, the game is very pretty, and also only on the PS3 in America. And now we have to wait for it all over again. Considering that Lollipop Chainsaw features a love between our lead Juliet Starling and her boyfriend with only a head Nick Carlisle, it's no surprise that they can get away with a Valentine's Day trailer. In fact, it makes complete sense that they should actually have one. In it, we learn that Nick wasn't always just a head. In fact, he had a body, one that was bitten on the arm by a zombie. In that, Juliet thought the best course of action would be cut his head off so the virus wouldn't spread. I mean, wouldn't cutting off his arm work as well, and that would also mean he would actually still have a body? But as he's just a head now, it means we can do cool things with him, such as put him on headless bodies, or just simply kick him around. That's how we say I love you in my part of the world. In nearly every single video that we've seen of Mass Effect 3, it's featured the male ship, but now we can see some hot fem ship action. This is also around the time when I'm starting to finish my third playthrough of Mass Effect 2 with my only fem ship, so things have a way of happening in full circles. The overlaying theme throughout the video is that Shepard has been grounded, but due to the events going on, the ship gets reinstated with the commander status. We also get to see a few of the various characters that will be making an appearance in the newest game, such as Jacob, Samara, Miranda, and the rest that we've already known full well about. Also, as a note to people out there, the Mass Effect 3 demo is now currently live. It includes both a demo of the single-player campaign and also the multiplayer. Now, as it's a demo, it's not possible to import your characters from Mass Effect 2 into it, but you can try your best to recreate your character's look from previous games, or even make them better. Or worse. And with that, it brings us to the end of this week's broadcast. Now, for more news involving the video game world, bookmark our website, defaultprime.com, and be up to date on our weekly roundups and our reviews and previews. Subscribe to us here. As I always say, because I'm too lazy to figure out a new catchphrase, till next time, gamers.